Hello, everybody. This is Phil Clam, principal of Walworth Joint School District Number 1. And we are also here with Chief Long from the Walworth Police Department. Today we are going to go over our emergency crisis handbook for you. This is a new document that has been created to inform parents and guardians of the students of guidelines and procedures that we're going to take place in emergency and crisis situations. Again, this was made specifically for the parents, and so we're going to go through this in a short video for you. Chief, anything to add there?
No, just that the police department worked hand in hand with the school preparing this document to advise parents of the best thing to do in a emergency or crisis at the school.
So how it's going to be available is initially it will be sent home to parents. It will also be included in registration materials. And if parents or guardians would like another one, they can always ask the office. In addition, it is on our website. So if you go to walworth.k12.wi.us, here is our website. And if you scroll down, you'll see Emergency Crisis Handbook right here. And there the document is so that you can see that. One of the nice items on here is that if you click something on the table of contents, it will take you to where you need to go. All right, so let's get started here. This is the table of contents. Again, it is clickable on the website as I showed you. We're going to scroll through it today. And we're going to start with the introduction. The first thing here, and we won't read this whole document to you, but we're just going to highlight a few of the things. And right here we talk about this brochure offers guidelines for preparedness, what parents should and should not do, and what the school will do in the event of emergency. And again, this has been a collaborative venture by the crisis team here at Walworth Joint School District Number 1 and the Walworth Police Department. At the bottom here, we talk about what is an emergency crisis, and the first two sentences, an emergency crisis is any expected incident, okay, that could possibly put your child's safety at risk. It could be anything from a disruption in utilities to a terrorist activity and could affect one child or the entire school district. Okay, on to the next page. What do schools do to prepare or practice for emergencies? And emergency crisis plan. Our school prepares for emergencies in a number of ways. We have an emergency crisis plan that defines the roles and responsibilities of staff in supporting the school's response to an emergency and identifies spaces or locations to be utilized by the school when an emergency occurs. The school's safety plans are updated on an annual basis. And then we talk about drills here. Schools also conduct emergency response drills throughout the school year. These drills provide a valuable opportunity for students and staff to practice what to do in the event of an emergency at school. Parents and visitors are not allowed to enter the school until an emergency response drill has been completed. All right, so parents, what should parents do to prepare for an emergency? And so Chief, maybe you can cover this one.
Yes, parents have an invaluable role in preparing the kids for the emergency. The kids need to know what to do in emergencies, and that's why parents are so important in this role to make sure they're ready in case a crisis does happen. Reassure your child that you will be contacted and reunited with them as soon as the situation is over. And we will do everything we can to get you to your child as soon as possible. Be sure that the emergency contact information is updated and correct at the school. If you move or you change cell phones or your home phone, make sure the school has that information because it's very important.
And if you ever want to check that information, it's available on Skyward if you log in, or you can call the school office and we can tell you what we have and update any information. It only takes a few minutes, but it is super important that we have that right information. So the next thing that we want to cover is this point right here, and this is very important, and we think you'll understand why. But you need to identify who is authorized to pick up your child if you are not able to respond. Make sure their contact information is current and correct, and please understand your child will only be released to parents and persons identified on that emergency contact list. Discuss that information with your child. So when you register, you have an emergency information sheet. please make sure that that is filled out in full and that is up to date. And if you need to update that at any time, you can come into the office or call and we will help with that. The next point that we want to highlight is this one here, Chief.
Yep, it's very important. What we want to do is explain that cell phones should not be used, and we would ask that you, as a parent, stress this with your child that during an emergency, cell phones will be taken by the teacher or the staff, so they are not used. We do not want phone lines tied up. We don't want the system to be bogged down in case emergency personnel needs those phone lines. So please talk with your children about cell phone use during an emergency.
Thank you. The next thing we want to talk about is what the school will do in an event in emergency. And the biggest thing we want you to understand here is that what we do in an emergency really depends on the situation and the specifics of the incident. So we will talk about later what we do to practice and those kinds of things, but please understand that it always depends on the situation and the specifics. Also here, parents will be informed as soon as we have done everything we can to ensure the safety of students and when it becomes possible to provide accurate and helpful information. So we understand that everybody wants to be informed as soon as possible, but as you can understand, the safety of our students and staff is of paramount importance, and so we need to make sure that that is all covered first, and then we will work to provide accurate and helpful information. So here are some of the following, or here are some of the response or protective actions that we do here. On emergency school closing, this is something that you probably know most about in regards to weather. So it could be icy roads or snow or those kinds of things. Sometimes that's because of utilities such as a gas or water issue, and that's really an emergency school closing.
The building secure, if there's an incident that is going on possibly close to the school that emergency officials are working with, we will contact the school and say, can we do a building secure? The building secure is just advising the school to make sure the outside doors are secure, that the kids are not allowed outside, and that the school day is going to continue on as it would, but there's not going to be a lot of flow of students throughout the school, and no one would be allowed outside.
Yeah, another reason for a building secure could be if, for example, say somebody got hurt in the gym and we needed the paramedics to be here, we would probably call a building secure just so teachers close their doors, they can keep teaching just to keep students out of the hallway, etc. So that's a tool that we can use often. A lockdown is next. Chief?
Yep, the lockdown response action represents the highest level of threat to the students and the staff. It is utilized when dangerous situation threatens the safety or life of the students or staff. In this situation, students and staff would be locked down in the nearest room in the school, and they would stay in that area until released by emergency personnel or school administration.
And then next would be the evacuation. Chief, can you talk about that as well?
Yep. If it is unsafe for students or staff to remain in the building, what we would do is we have designated areas that the students and staff would be evacuated to. This would be off campus in most situations. And then after the situation is deemed safe, we would allow the students and staff back on the property of the school. If the situation is not going to be deemed safe for a long period of time, then we would go into our next bullet point, which is the off-site family
reunification.
Reunification, yes. Yes.
So this happens when after we've evacuated and due to the situation, we've decided that school is no longer going to happen. And so we need to get the students home. And this is super important that, again, going back to that emergency contact information and what you choose as a family is going to happen with your students. And some of those choices are students are available to walk home. Students will take the bus home. Students will be picked up by a parent or an emergency contact. And then the fourth one is students go to daycare if you use an area daycare. And so those are in sight of or in the when an offsite family reunification happens, when it is safe to do so, we will contact families, let them know that that is going to happen, and that we will follow the procedures that you chose on the emergency sheets. Okay. And then the reminder here is it is possible that when a response action has been initiated at a school, it may involve keeping students beyond the regular school day. It's never our intention to hold the students unnecessarily, and we will not do so except to ensure their safety.
Yep. And we want your children to be back with you as soon as possible. We're parents and we're grandparents, and we know the stress that you could be under. But as soon as we can get your children back to you into a safe environment, we are going to do so.
All right, let's move on to the next section here. What should parents do and not do in the event of an emergency? And Chief, what do you want to talk about here?
The first thing is, please do not call the school. It is essential that we keep the phone lines open to the school. So if we need emergency personnel to call into the school or call out of the school, we do not need those phone lines tied up. So please do not call the school.
And to go with that is the next point is please do not come to the school or to the scene. This can be one of the greatest challenges on how to do that. So please follow the procedures as we're outlining here and the communication that comes to you during and after a crisis and an emergency. Okay, the next couple is we want to talk about remaining calm, following procedures, and cooperating with school and public safety officials. The safety of our students is number one, and so we're doing everything we can to do that, thus the procedures. So please, we understand that these are stressful or can be stressful times, so please remain calm, follow the procedures, and cooperate with the officials. The next thing would be to remain close to the phone listed as the emergency contact on file at the school. Again, this goes back to that emergency sheet that you fill out at registration and continue to keep updated. So there will be a first phone that will be notified there, and so please stay close to that phone for more information.
And as we've said before, and we will stress this again, that your child is not going to be released to anyone who is not authorized and who cannot provide proper identification to have your child released to. So very, very important there.
And then be sure it is someone listed on the school records, as Chief said, and that they are in possession of a photo ID. That is really important. So please make sure that that happens as well. The other one would be remain in designated areas, okay, at the family reunification site. So in the case of family reunification, you will be informed on where to go and what to do. So please stay in those areas. And then also, again, just a reminder to please do not call or text your student. We want to keep those lines open. Okay, on to the next page. So how will parents be notified during a situation? And the key word here is during. So our first priority is to ensure all students are safe, accounted for, and under adult supervision. As soon as it is possible to do so, the district administrator and/or designee will communicate information to parents and the community only via the district's Facebook page. Again, this is during a situation. If there's any information to be shared, okay, it will only be available during the district's Facebook page. The reason behind that is that during an emergency, this is the quickest and the fastest way for us to communicate if it's safe.
Yep. And this is where your accurate information will be during the situation. Don't go on to other sites because they're probably not going to have the accurate information. This is where the school officials and law enforcement will be doing notifications together to give you the updated information during a situation.
So how will the parents be notified after a situation at school? And the number one way we're going to do that is with the school messenger. And you might know this. These are phone notifications that you get for canceled days of school, lunch fees, etc. So school messenger will be the way to do that, and an automated phone message and or email will come to parents and staff in emergencies. Again, this is after the situation. A letter home could also be sent home. Information may also be available on the district webpage and on the district Facebook page. This is after the situation, and it's most likely going to come from school messenger. Okay, and in the recovery after a crisis, the school officials understand that a traumatic event in a school or in the community can have an emotional impact on staff and students. Walworth Joint School District Number 1 has a trained team of professionals who can respond to the school during and after a critical incident to provide assistance. So this is our document. The next thing that we wanted to show you is if you have any questions, this is my business card, so please consider stopping in, giving me a phone call, or sending an email if you have further questions about this document. Chief, anything else to add?
Nope. Just remember that the safety of your students are the most important thing that the staff and emergency services take into effect in these situations.
Thanks for watching.